Sure, Rupesh.
Yeah.
So ready to start?
Yes.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rupesh. I'm the current president of the AIPNO, and we welcome you all on a precious Sunday time in the evening from 7 to 8 for our educational series, which has been put forth by our executive committee and mainly the lead, Dr. Saloni Khatri and Dr. Vikas Jain. Last week, we had an extensive, very detailed session about the career path in the veterinary science, and we talked about also how the dental admissions and other process work. I got a lot of good reviews. And to benefit to that, I have just been talking to the mayor of the Cleveland, Mr. Jackson and his group. I talked to Dr. Goyal about it. They want to lead this program as a STEM program for next year to move and do that for the endogenous population. So congratulations to Dr. Saloni Khatri and Dr. Vikas Jain, and they will be co-directing the program with us. Today, it's an immense pleasure to have the panelists whom I know, and I have been a resident in front of them, and I have seen them, their growth. So the first speaker is actually Miss Rita Singh. She's our family friend, and she's a family for me in Cleveland. And Rita Singh is a co-founder and serving as a chief financial and operational partners in SA Consulting Group and leading EWA Women's Business and Leadership Development Center in Cleveland, Ohio. And as EWAW, most of you have attended the functions and the mission. I'm one of their board members too. It's an exemplary association and a platform for the women's growth. So the medical students, especially the women in medicine, that will be a good platform for you to join and excel and lead the women leadership. She has been a visionary executive leader offering for 25 years of progressive management achievements across multiple industries, ranging from closely held family business to Fortune of 500 companies. Rita has been recognized locally, regionally, and internationally for her business, innovation, and leadership. As an executive coach, her focus is helping young future leaders and business executives to become better business leaders to lead their organization forward, which is one of the feedback we always get with our new medical student. They want to be entrepreneur. They want to establish their own practices so they can balance the work and the family life. Rita works with individuals to develop skill in entrepreneur leadership in various levels of their career, which are offered as a part of ongoing curriculum, individual coaching, session, workshops, seminars, lecture series, forums, and conference. After completing her executive MBA in ethical and entrepreneur leadership, she developed customized leadership program for the beginners and seasonal executives. The leadership development program are currently offered through an Entrepreneurship and Leadership Institute, which is an extension of an SA Consulting Group. With that, I will welcome Mrs. Rita Singh, entrepreneur, a lady who has established and given a platform for the women's growth in Cleveland, which I have seen for the last 11 years. Ms. Rita Singh.
Thank you. Thank you for the very kind words, Dr. Reina. I'm truly honored to, know you and work with you and consider you a very dear friend. And I welcome all of you. Some I see the faces, other I see the names, but welcome to the leadership session. And whenever I am speaking to the younger generation, I truly get very, very excited because I nourish so much myself, being with all of you because of your vision, your energy, your passion, your courage, and your hopes and dreams. And as we all know, due to this pandemic and the trial time we are all going through, our country and even the entire world is really yearning for a strong leadership. Whether it is a hospital, school, university, we're all looking for a clear direction, focus, clarity, and much more. But what I want to ask all of you today is that don't wait for everyone else. You lead by example. You are the change makers. You all are the next generation of leaders. And the world is really looking up to all of you. So take responsibility and take ownership. One day at a time, one moment at a time, but the time, even when all of us are gathered here, the place is right here. You know, AIPNO has been doing this for a while, but this session to me is very, very critical for all of us, whether we are, you know, your age or, you know, older than you. You know, leadership is very much needed in all levels of organizations. So the time is here and the beginning is also at this minute. So I want all of you to make a commitment to yourself. And what I thought when I was, you know, going back and reflecting, you know, what I should be talking today, and I thought I want to talk about the leadership basics and the fundamentals of leadership. And I consider that most of you are just beginning into this journey. So we are not going to be digging deep into the various areas of leadership, but we will be talking about, you know, some of the basic things, which again, I consider them very important, because you can, you know, keep these skills rest of your life, and they are, you know, could be a lifeline to your leadership as you are beginning this journey. And I want to ask all of you, if you don't have a notepad or pen or pencil, please, I encourage that please take some notes today. And if you have a journal or a notebook, please feel free to take some notes while I go over some of the key or the fundamentals or the basics of the leadership. And the first one, what is a leadership? You know, we all talk about leadership. I think the leadership begins with all of you. You have to lead, lead first before you even say, you know, I'm going to lead this team or organization or my business. The leadership really begins with you, yourself, where you know, how do you approach the things? What are your skills? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So there's a lot of I would say soul searching and self-awareness at this stage, you know. And the second one, which I just mentioned, that which I have learned from my mentors, is to keep a journal. Start with the journal, you know, write down the things when you are in your school with the teacher or a mentor or a coach or programs like this. Start this, you know, write it down, because that journal you can always go back and lean on and write those key points, you know, as you know, grow into this, you know, when you finish your school or your college, or when you open your own practice or go and work with them, with any hospital. I have seen this has done miraculous for me personally, and I am truly, you know, sharing today with all of you my personal experience. When I began this journey and where I am, there is it's a continuous thing in leadership. You never arrive in leadership. It's a journey. There's an ongoing learning, you know, the rest of your life. That's how I approach every day, whether I'm with you or, you know, other people. I'm always learning. And third is very, very important, the failure. It is okay to fail. Failure is a part of your success. So if so long, you know, when you fail, you get up quickly and you don't repeat the same mistake. So we learn from our mistakes. So absolutely, I do not want all of you to have no fear. Have absolutely no fear in your mind that if you fail, you know, your parents are going to get mad, or, you know, it will look bad on you. There's no such thing as fear. Just get rid of that number 3, this fear, out of your life. And number four, which has, I've always given a lot of emphasis, is called build a network. Foster your personal relationships. And those are so important, whether you work for somebody or you have your own business, everything is about relationships, build strong foundation of friendship. Whether it is your parents, friends, or association, I think AIPNO has a huge portfolio of such, I'm a lot of respect for all these doctors, I want you to get to know them because there's so much wealth of knowledge all of them have that this can transform your entire life. So build a network in your community and outside your school or university. This can be really transform you and create a very positive path for all of you. And number five is listening. If I say right now, listen to your parents, maybe some of you may not like it, but I tell you, it's a virtue. Listening is so important. It is such an important skill of leadership. When you really listen, you absorb, lot of things, because attentive listening, whether you are in a meeting, in a classroom, or in now all of us are in this virtual environment, try to focus, try to listen. And I think this can be a huge skill as you are building these leadership skills for the rest of your career. And number six, which is read. Whenever you get time, whether you are, outside or before sleeping or during the day or when you wake up, read some good books. There are tons of leadership books around, and I'll be happy to give you some names to give you a jump start. Read some articles, read a newspaper. So do some good reading on a daily basis. Make it a habit. And number seven, volunteer, get engaged in your community, do things which Dr. Rita is aware of. I almost spend 40, sometimes even 50% of my time giving back to the community. And I feel I've received so much, I've gained so much more than I have even given back. So I encourage all of you that, whatever the cause you may believe, now with all this tough times we are all going through, there are so many ways you can be helping other people. So take the time out of your day to volunteer, give back to the community, to go and work in a hospital, invest your time in helping other people. It will come back to you. And whenever, you are doing all of this, you will see, 1 year from now, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, those people are going to remember you, and there may be a time comes when you can lean them for any guidance, and then you may meet so many people which you can even find, which takes me to my next number 8, is that you may find a mentor, a coach, which is so important also in this leadership journey, that somebody you can actually go to, whether it is Dr. Jain or Dr. Khatri or Dr. Reina or Gitu Reina. There are so many people here. If you, not only when you stumble, you go to a coach, just have somebody in your life where you can go and talk about, if some challenges, how they are dealing with. And I must say again, my parents were also a part of my mentorship. I learned so much good values from them. Talk to your parents and ask them how they are facing all of this, trauma right now around us in their jobs, families. So there's a lot of coaching around you, but you just have to take the time and plan, this is what I want, this is how I want to grow into this leadership, and it will all happen. I'm keeping very brief because I want to make sure, there's a time for the Q&A. And one thing, if you want to become that so-called dynamic leader, who has the top-notch skills, I encourage you that you must take an ongoing leadership training or coaching. There's several avenues exist. And this is even like right now, you can gain so much out of these sessions that, but continue doing this on a regular and ongoing basis. And Dr. Reina mentioned that, I personally, I'm leading now Entrepreneurship and Leadership Institute, where we work with young, leaders like yourself and seasoned business executives. And there's so much need right now, especially in our country, everywhere. So make that commitment to yourself. I just want to, ask Dr. Khatri, this is really from me. I really want it to be more engaging and experiential. So if you can open up to the questions, from the students, I will be happy to entertain any questions.
Sure. I would
Yeah.
encourage the students to ask questions. Dr. Khatri will moderate the questions.
If anybody has questions, they can either virtually raise their hand, or they can actually, they can unmute themselves too, whatever is convenient. Please feel free to ask. We have great resource right now.
So if they don't have a question, I want to ask them a question.
So I have a question, because
you have a question?
People are joining as a group from the institute. So a question from our NeoMed group. They're asking about the concept of combining MD with an MBA program, going sabbatical for extra 1 or 2 years. Does it help down when they are done with their medical school?
Can you, Dr. Reina, repeat the question, please?
So their question is, can they combine, like there is a combined program with MD with the JD. There is also a possibility they are thinking, should they do an MD with an MBA, taking an extra 1 or 2 years that will help them down the road, or just too early for them to be doing an MBA at such a young stage?
Sure. So absolutely. The reason I say that, any form of education, whether you do the JD or spend an additional time, I think it will, in the long run, will strengthen your skills so much, than people who are not spending that kind of time. And education, will never go waste. Every time you put some additional time into doing some courses or masters or bachelors or PhDs, it is worth it, worth the time. So if you are thinking, my guidance would be to go ahead and do it.
So I would like to ask a question. Are there any particular books that you would like to recommend for the students who are interested in leadership?
Sure. So there are actually, Dr. Jane, there are so many books out there, but what I thought I wanted to at least share 4 today with everyone. One is The Making of a Leader. And that book is by Bobby Clinton. And then there's a second book, is called Youth Leadership, A Guide to Understanding Leadership Development. And that book is by Carl A. Fortman. And I can definitely email you if you want to later, you know, or they will have my email phone number if they want to call me or send me an email. And the third one is the Youth Leadership. It's a guide to understanding leadership development. And then the fourth one is 12 intentional behaviors that lead to big impact by Sean Hunter. So even the key here is that since they are beginning this journey, my 2 cents into this conversation would be to start with some basics where they are not reading too many complicated things, you know. It's a journey, so better start with some simple concepts of leadership and then go deeper into it, you know, into the books.
He's not letting me log in.
Huh?
Login करने ही नहीं दे रहा मुझे.
क्यों?
पता नहीं. Asking कि we're waiting for the host to let you in, but never. For 20 minutes I've been waiting.
Oh.
You should be able to join in. Like right now, I do not see anybody in the waiting room. Okay. So Rita ji, one more question. What can students do now while they are in high school or college to inculcate the leadership skills, to improve the skills that will help them in future? So what can they do now while they are in college or high school?
Sure. So the one thing they must do is since a lot of us are you know, working from home, you know, in this virtual environment, I would encourage them that have at least, if not a weekly or bi-weekly leadership training sessions, at least do this once a month, you know, join, though there are multiple places, you know, including our own organization, and I can definitely send you some, you know, places where they can join, you know. And the second thing is, which I mentioned, that they must have a mentor or a coach in their life. And this could be somebody, even it could be a teacher, it could be somebody from AIPNO. And I was actually thinking, which I would like to share and maybe take this conversation to next step is, maybe AIPNO can start this mentor protege program, which is, you know, can bring so much value to the students, and they can lean on so many, there's so much wealth of knowledge and people in this organization and in our community and beyond, which can connect them to those professionals like yourself. And if they need, and this mentoring relationship can be formal or informal, depending upon, you know, how you structure that.
Okay. Any other questions from the students?
I think did you ask the question from Ishita? Because
Ishita, I do not. Okay, let me see.
her question is, I'm a rising 9th grade at Hathaway Brown. Are there any other online webinars as this one that I can attend?
So I can send you a list of, you know, which we are actually doing, and there are multiple other organizations are doing. We are offering almost every week, kind of, because there's so much request from all over, you know.
Right.
But I can send you a list if you send me your email, and, you know, Dr. Jane, you have my contact information. If
Yes,
you can later
and
share.
Yes, we'll send the information to all the participants.
Yes,
She
yes.
specifically is asking to have it for the girls, and she belongs to Hathaway Brown.
So girls, I would say, I definitely want you to join women's leadership groups, you know, such as Dr. Reena mentioned, the EWA Business and Leadership Development Center. You can join, and there's so much, you know, on a regular basis, we are doing some sessions, and I can send you an invite, you know, to attend those. Some of them are complimentary, some of them are just a very, very nominal fee. So that can help you, because then it will also, you will be an environment where there are other girls and women, you know, of your age or older than you.
There's another question from Dr. Goyal. What is the most important quality of a leader?
What is the most important?
What is the most important quality of leader?
If I have to say this in one word, there are a number of qualities. It is integrity.
That's perfect. That's very nice. There's another question from Dr. Rashmi Jain. How to find a good mentor? That's always my question.
Yes, yes.
Mentor in multiple facets, but it's very hard to find a good mentor. What are your some of the parameters to look for?
I think the parameters would be somebody which is, I feel as a professional, very important to me is accessibility. You know, you don't want to start a relationship with somebody who's not available, right?
Right.
You know, so you want to work with somebody who's accessible, you know, because that to me can give you so much, you know, a peace of mind that there is somebody out there. You can pick up a phone or send an email or phone call or meet face to face, you know, when all of this is over, or even, you know, now keeping some social distancing guidelines. So I would make sure that somebody who's accessible and definitely who has walked into this path, you know, who's experienced, who has a knowledge. This way you will be actually empowering on that wealth of knowledge he or she brings. So that experience and that, you know, it shouldn't be just somebody who's speaker, so-called, because you definitely want a coach or a mentor who is actively engaged in the business, or I mean the leadership world, you know, who's helping other people, because it's a very give and back kind of a relationship, because they can bring a lot of experience to you and vice versa.
Thank you, Rita ji. Now, if any student wants some more information, I am going to share her information. And this is the website of Mrs. Rita Singh. This is the email address rsingh@sa-consultinggroup.com. So if you want to touch base with her, you can touch base with her at these phone numbers and the email addresses, and this will be available on the website.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita ji. Thanks a lot.
Now I would like to introduce Dr. Ram and Dr. Yatish Goyal. Dr. Ram is a renowned cardiologist at Southwest General Hospital. He did his medical schooling from India. Then he came to US and performed his residency and fellowship in cardiology in USA. He is a successful cardiologist, and he is in multiple leadership roles. Leadership roles at the Southwest General Hospital. And Dr. Yatish Goyal is a renowned internal physician, and he successfully owns his own private practice in Medina. He is Chief of Staff in Cleveland Clinic, Medina. He has been Chair of Medicine at Cleveland Clinic, Medina. He is also serving as Medical Director in multiple nursing homes, and he also contributes to the society by being Board of Directors in Quality Alliance Cleveland Clinic. So now this will be a panel discussion about entrepreneurship by Dr. Ram and Dr. Yatish Goyal. I would like to invite Dr. Ram first. So would you please start, Dr. Ram? Dr. Ram, would you unmute first?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I just said it's nice to be with all of you, and it's thank you for having me. I was talking to Dr. Rena that we're all medical doctors not as a entrepreneurs to begin with, but it is in a way, because like you mentioned, like Dr. Goyal, who started self-practice, private practice, and me as a cardiologist, we do lead into this entrepreneurship in a medical sense. But I think like the earlier Rita Singh was saying, commitment, dedication, and integrity, those are the key words to be successful in any kind of profession. And I think it's no exception whether you are a cardiologist or a nephrologist or internist. That's where we have to have a goal and you have to work for it with this sincere dedication. Then you will get to your target.
Can you hear me? Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me, and good to see all of you. Thank you, AIPNO. I do agree with what Rita ji had elaborated, the leadership qualities in a person. You combine that with looking for opportunities to be enterprising, whether you are a physician, whether you are looking into dental field, whether you're looking into going into accounting or being an attorney. You always look for opportunities. And one thing which I've learned is when the going gets tough, that's when you find the most opportunities in life. This has been thing which I've learned. Don't get upset about it. Hey, this is coming, this is going to happen. That's where you see more opportunities. There's always more windows, more doors which open up. And that's what you need to learn. Somebody told me a while ago, you always, when you want to enterprise something, you look at three things. What skills do you have? What are your skills? Number two, do those skills have any value in the market? And number three, can you capitalize on them? And that's when you combine all three of those skills, you can be very enterprising. One thing which I feel extremely important, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to create a brand for yourself. Whether as an accountant, as a lawyer, as a dentist, as a physician, no matter what specialty you are in, no matter what field you are in, you need to create your reputation. You need to create your credibility. Your credibility in the market is everything. Look at, for example, you look at a good car or a good iPhone, it's all about the product. And what product can you deliver on your own? So branding is extremely important. Your credibility is important. Quite often I'm asked, how do you manage work-life balance and home and vacation? If you create a brand, you create everything. You create work-life balance, you create, financial success, you create community success, you create people recognize you in the local area, and they respect you, and you get paid too. So having said that, I've been in the private practice for approximately 20 years. Things always get tough, It's not an easy road all the time, but you always keep your focus on the right thing. What is the most important thing in that business for you? Luckily for me, I love to do, which is patient care. That is the most important thing for me, taking care of the patients. And that's what you enjoy the most. If you get your business into 70% what you like, you have a home run. 90% is literally unachievable. And don't be afraid of taking risks. Don't be scared of, failing. As Rita, you said, take a risk, take a calculated risk, That's what enterprising is about. If you believe something in a product or yourself, you have to take a risk. It is worth, and it will be worthwhile for you in terms of rewarding you, everybody will respect you, you will appreciate, people will appreciate you, patient will appreciate you. And I think that is the most valuable thing. It comes, you are your own boss, you are autonomy, you don't have to ask somebody, hey, I need a vacation. Oh, you can have it. It's easy to say for me that I change my schedule on 3-day notice. I don't like it, but sometimes I have that flexibility. Can you control the quality? Absolutely. Because you're your own boss. Nobody's telling you, you only have 5 minutes with the patients. I can spend 20 minutes with the patient, I can spend 3 minutes with the patient, or I can spend 50 minutes with the patient. So that's a huge advantage I personally feel in a practice. Being a ownership and enterprising, that you get to do what you want to deliver, what kind of quality, what kind of service you want to deliver to your clients. You I'm sure when you call anybody, you hear 1, 2, 3, press 1 for this, press 2 for this. I have maintained my standards of having a live operator every time somebody calls. I don't like the idea of people leaving messages. And it does become a little bit difficult at times, but you still do it. And I think, having the compassion, having empathy, and being creative in what you do is the key. Okay, how can you be different? We all go to med school, we all read the same books. You're not reading a different book, we all read the same textbooks and New England Journal of Medicine and JAMA and circulation or whatever. But how can you carve out that people are attracted to you in terms of professional services? I think that is the key. Do you have compassion? Are you sensitive about their times? Are you sensitive about their needs? Of course, you have to know medicine. Just doing that doesn't solve the problem. But I think that kind of carves you out differently from normal community and normal, business side. I have been a huge advocate of, patient care. I always had this mantra, and which is do what is best for the patient. Everything falls into place. The business falls into place, the care falls into place, your branding falls into place. I'll move it on to Dr. Ram for now.
Yeah, I agree with what Dr. Goyal said. We have to have, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sam.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We all take care of the patients. They come first. Once you do your job right, it doesn't matter. Automatically things get into the place. And creativity and opportunities, those are all true that you will learn as you come across. As once you get into the practice, a medical profession, you will know the best thing that will happen to you is when you take care of a patient, when you go home, when you see the smile on the patient for what you did for him, that's what motivates you. And that will keep you going. And you keep on working on it. And the more you do, the better you feel, and that automatically build your own empire, and you can be the boss to it. So success will automatically come to you if you take care of the patient and provide the best you can. That's all you need to do. So I think with that, I will leave it open. And if anybody have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
So this is Rupesh again, and I'm getting these questions somehow, sometime text, sometime on the chat. So this is a very good question. There are like multiple. So I'll throw that question to both you, Dr. Ram, and also to Dr. Goyal. So the medical student saying, it has been an impression if you join a big academic center with the name that gives you the credibility. Starting a practice with as a private physician, does it affect your identity and your role as entrepreneur, and does it affect the patient's preference to choose you as a provider? This always comes as in our medical school lecture. They always ask, if you are joining a big banner name, then you are under the banner name, and after that, if you go by your own, does it affect your referral based, or does it affect your patient population, and does it put you separate identity rather than under the name of big hospital banners? Either one of you can answer, or both of you can answer.
Atish, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's what it's all about, creating the brand. So how much branding have you created when you're under a big banner is the key part. Do the patients come to you because of XYZ, or they come because of the brand, of the banner? That's the key word. How much credibility have you created? How duration is very important. If you go in a community like a Strongsville or go into Brunswick, they're small communities. So the word will spread very fast, good or bad, either way. So you have to be careful. If you leave the big banner, do you have the resources to start that practice? Do you have enough knowledge to maneuver, insurance contracts? Do you have enough support staff to be able to deal with those changes? See, the support staff is only as good as you are. If you don't know the business, they won't. Until you guide them and you channelize them, or you create a value to them. They won't know how to create a value for you. You have to figure that out. You have to learn the business side, and it's not by reading the books. There's no textbook in the medicine which tells you business side, hey, you can call Anthem and tell them this is what you want. There's no textbook for that. You have to spend 10% of your time. So if you work 40 hours a week, so you have to spend 4 hours trying to figure out the business. What value I'm creating for a payer? How can I reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I create this much value. Can you value me more? You have to make that presentation to them. They have to make you appreciate what you bring to the table. You might be a couple of physicians, but you can make a change in the local healthcare scene. And that's very important. Just don't think that, hey, we're only 2 people, there's nothing we add here. They're not going to listen to me. You always bring it up, you always discuss it, and you tell them what value you bring. Everybody's going to listen to you. They may not listen as big as the big banner, but you will bring tremendous value to that payer, to the community. But you have to know what to ask them. What are the right questions?
To answer that question, this is how I look at it. Yes, if you do join a big corporate hospital like a university or Cleveland Clinic, you do have that reputation. While you are there, you have that credibility. Well, you work for the clinic, and then when you leave that place and go to a remote place, yes, that would help you to attract, to get a better offer because, oh, you work in a big institute. But at the end of the day, you have to prove yourself. It doesn't matter where you come from, where you worked before. If you don't provide and deliver quality and compassionate care, doesn't matter. The initial attraction you had will just vanish away if you don't work hard and prove yourself. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter whether you join a community physician in a small town. You do have some advantage when you come from a big hospital. Initially, you may get more offers. It may be a little bit more rewarding for you to join, but at the end of the day, you have to work and prove yourself how good you are, how best you can take care of the patients. That doesn't change where you come from.
Dr. Ram, this is a specific question for you. I don't know whether you know or not. In Neomed, we have a special groups, what they got as like people who go to internal medicine, they want to go for pediatrics. So they have each has a group leader. So this is a group question from internal medicine. how hard it is to establish a solo practice being a cardiologist, and what are your struggles to get the resources for doing intervention when you are not based or not um, employed by the local hospital?
That's a good question. Well, to begin with, to the group who asked me the question, I didn't join as a solo practice. I joined somebody else. In 2020, for you to start a solo practice as a cardiologist, it's extremely difficult unless you have backing up from a major hospital. But as you probably know by now, most of the cardiologists, almost 70 to 80% of the cardiologists across the country are joining the bigger hospitals, because to be in solo practice is getting almost impossible. Having said that, there are few cardiologists who still do that. Actually, there are quite a few of them still do that. But to answer your question, it is difficult. And especially if you want to be an interventional cardiologist, you have to be in a bigger group because you cannot do on your own 24/7. I hope I answered the question.
No, thank you. That's another question for even Dr. Ram, mainly for Dr. Goyal. How do you see yourself practicing for the CMS quality for performance and pay on the basis of your quality care? How hard it is for the primary care to evolve and practice in this scenario? Again, these are group questions, Dr. Goyal.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. I have been part of CMS quality program. I have been part of NCQA. I have been part of, board member of Quality Alliance. Actually, it's all about reporting. It's all we do actually to take care of the patient. How do you organize your data is the most important piece of it. We all control their blood pressure. We all control their diabetes. We all screen them for, depression, just to give you an example. But how good are you at reporting and submitting the data is the most important key. And literally, you need to pick the right EMR for CMS or for that matter, any other payer. Every payer is looking at those metrics now. You talk to, commercial payers, look at Advantage plans, you look at Medicaid, everybody is looking at it. Literally, it takes me 35 minutes in a year to report it to everybody across the panel. I mean, this is things you do normally. You want your patient to get better. You want your patient to get quality care. So if you're providing quality care to your patients, then there's no issue.
Thank you, Dr. Goyal. Another question, and this is a group from I think looks like Case undergrad. What do you think are the challenges when you are starting your own practice, having a loan of 400 to 500,000? How much time it would take us to catch up for establishing and paying off our loan? I do not want to live with the debt for 10 years after graduation.
I think you should take this question.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. so how motivated you are. And that's the key. That's the key in everything in life. I mean, $400,000, that is a huge debt. You start a solo practice, you may not even make anything for a year or two, actually. You can pay your bills, you can pay your rent. You're good. That's a home run for the first couple of years. But the best part is, as you build your credibility, as you build your reputation, as you build your patient base, your financial situation will escalate, and it will exponential after 4 or 5 years. You join a big banner system. You start very high, but you stay there all your life, and then they control you. So are you willing to take that risk for another 2 years after having a $400,000 loan? Or that's where the risk comes, Am I willing to take a risk and say, hey, listen, I don't care. That's what I want to do. I don't care about what somebody paid me in the beginning. I don't care about it. I need to know where I will be after 5 years. Will I be still at 4 where I started, plus minus 5-10%, or will I have my own credibility, I have my own patient base? It's not only about finances. You create a product, you become a part of a small change in the community. Okay, you help that community thrive better. You provide resources for them. Then they have opportunities to explore. Don't have to go to big banner physician where it's a Fort Knox. Calling them is like Fort Knox. It's 45 minutes for a phone call. So you do make a difference, and you do well for yourself.
Any other questions from any students, high school students or college students or medical school students? We have around 5 more minutes for a couple of more questions.
Because I got one more from the group.
Okay.
For both Dr. Goyal and for Dr. Ram. You get discouraged in your medical practice. If it is, what are your sources to recruit from the depression, frustration, and financial stress?
Can you repeat that question again? I missed it.
So it's just kind of coming it in the pieces. They just want to know if you have a financial stress, you are overburdened with the patient care in your own entrepreneurship or in your own private practice. What are your ways to get away from it, and how you regenerate for all these stresses?
Okay, I will take that first. Well, it can be even when you provide the best care, things happen. When you take care of a sick patient, sometimes you might lose the patient, and some complications can happen. And naturally, you will be depressed, and it will affect you. But it takes some time for you to realize it's a part of the process. You will get over it. After a time will come where you realize, irrespective of how best you are, how effectively you manage the patient, things do happen, and you'll begin to accept it. And you will very quickly, you get used to that, and you see you will learn something from it. What is that? Did I do anything wrong? Did I miss anything? You will try to analyze it and try to learn more. And as time passes, you would know more on how best you can deal anything differently. You'll be to answer, would I get depressed? Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose a patient, it will affect you. You will be depressed a little bit, because you will relate to that somebody, friends or family. It will affect you to some extent, but it won't take long. You will come over it, because you would know, because in your heart you did the best you could, despite that things do happen. So you will get over that very easily. You don't need anything different to deal with it. Part of the nature, it's a part of the game. It's just it's an inbuilt process, and you will get to that very easily.
So I would definitely like to add here. I mean, that's a good sign that you are upset about losing a patient. Okay, you're upset about losing a patient. You're not because there'll be a lawsuit. You're upset because you lost a patient. Okay, there's a difference. Right. So if you're upset about a lawsuit, it's a different story altogether. But if you're upset because you lost a patient, you tried your best, you could have done better. So whenever you revisit that, hey, what could I have done different to make this patient has a better outcome? That's always a good sign. You're a good physician, you want to do the right thing for the patient, and don't feel bad about it. You can only do so much, okay? There are always stressors, whether you're in a private practice, whether you're employed by somebody or you work in a bigger group, the stressors will be part of the business. It will be the part of territory. The best part I feel is, for de-stressing for me is, seeing a patient. So if I see a patient, that de-stresses me completely. You disconnect from all the negative things which might be going on, whether it's a issue with the payer or whether it's an issue with the, revenue stream, whether it's an issue with the, staff. Taking care of the patient for me is the biggest de-stressor. You're making them better. You're taking care of them. You're managing their chronic conditions. We still see people in the hospital, making them breathe better after 24 hours when they come with the, acute heart failure, or having them getting better with a stroke, and things like that, or acute MI, or, respiratory failure, things like that. So I think for me, that's the biggest de-stressor. And I always tell, I walk in the patient's room, talk to them for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That's the biggest de-stressor for me. You should be ready to work hard. That's very important. And that applies to anything you want to do and create a niche for yourself. If you don't want to work hard and you think somebody else can do it for you, you're sadly mistaken. It's not happening. You need to create the product, you need to create the quality, you need to create your credibility. You have to create credibility and you have to have perseverance. It's very simple at times, I feel. It takes time, of course. And if somebody told me I'll pay you this much in year 1, but year 5 you stay there, I said, no, I don't care. You rather pay me less in the year 1, but where do I go after year 5?
I think I have a lot, but I think I'll stop there. The only comment I want to give it to Dr. Ram. There's one medical student whose grandfather was taken care by you in Southwest.
Oh.
So he just put it there in the comment. So that's good to know. Hardly we get these appreciations. You can take that appreciation.
Thank you.
I stopped my chat text messages and then I'll give it to Vikas. Vikas, if you're getting anything from, Miss Rita Singh want to say something. She will have something to complement what Dr. Goyal said. Miss Rita ji.
What I think both Dr. Ram and Goyal shared a lot of good points. Beside the branding, the work hard and know your value. What I really wanted to, I love that what Dr. Goyal said, is the empathy and compassion. It is so much needed today in this world, and especially in healthcare, that we should have that ability or the emotional intelligence to feel the pain of our patients. So that empathy and compassion is huge. So thank you for bringing that, Dr. Goyal. It's also one of the leadership qualities. So I really wanted to say, how important that is. Doesn't matter what profession you are in.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank our speakers, Dr. Ram, Dr. Goyal, and Mrs. Rita Singh for their wonderful presentations, for taking their time from the busy schedule and giving a talk for the students. I would also like to thank Dr. Rupesh Raina, our president of AIPNO, for coming up with this wonderful idea. And I would like to remind, next Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m., we have another web conference, and that is going to be on MBA and research opportunities in the medical field. It is going to be on Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. With this, I would like to close the session. Thanks for joining. And this meeting is on because of the students. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
For having me here.